Coming up on this episode of the Designers of Change podcast.
I was saying I couldn't do that. I wasn't qualified to speak on marriage. I mean, I was no pretty girl. When I got angry, I would throw things. I would be abusive in my words. The community is what helped us to work through communicating as a couple better. Yes. Because when you are in the situation, you are not able to see where you're going wrong or what you need to fix, or because you're so focused on the pain, or you're focused on I am right. Yes. And you are wrong, and you can't see what I'm dealing with.
It's episode 27, and this is a topic that has been highly requested. And guess what? You're going to get it today. Today, we have a very special guest. I'm going to share with you who it is shortly, but we are happy to have you joining us on this episode. Every episode gives a ton loads of gems that you will ensure that you're going to be writing them down or something, because, you know, the faintest of ink is greater than the best of memories. So you want to make sure you stick and stay. But we have to thank our sponsors for making this possible. To Jace Myrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, Caribbean Gospel TV, Amanda's Kitchen, SK Catering, Max 24/7 Wrecking Services, Regional Consulting Services all the way in Cayman, The Self-Care Bar, Jessie's Home Decor, and Proactive Lifestyle Limited. We are so grateful for all our sponsors. Now, our special guest today is none other than Mrs. Datonya McLaren. Now, she is a certified relationship coach, has been married for well over 18 years. I can't believe it, because when I do the maths, if I minus those 18 years, she probably been alive for 2 years before she got married. She is a wonderful mother, wife, and, you know, a great friend. And I'm happy to have witnessed most of her journey so far. So proud and happy to have you sharing the platform with me today, Mrs. McLaren. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm so excited to be here. I am really happy to have this opportunity to share my journey and just to talk about marriage.
Yes. You know what's funny? While we were getting ready, Datonya said, "Are you guys sure you never needed somebody else?" And I'm like, what is she talking about? From the topic came up, she is definitely the individual that we want to speak to, because our topic, as I said, highly requested, is speaking to oneness in marriage and business. Because people see Jamar and I, and they're like, man, how do you guys do it? You guys seem to be like yin and yang. You guys complement each other. How do you do so many different things together? How do you achieve that? And we believe you're the best person to share with us. You're in the space. You're working with couples. And it's not just, throwing out philosophy out there. I mean, living it yourself.
Yes.
That's important.
Very important.
Yeah, man.
Very important.
And we definitely admire that. By the way, big up to Mr. Kemar McLaren. He's not here, but he sent his wife to represent, and we thank you for that, sir. Thank you so much. But Datonya, like, from your journey, from what you've witnessed, having worked with so many different clients, what is oneness in marriage?
So just to sum it all up, Jesus said, or the great book said, that a man should leave his mother and his father and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. No, certainly that could not be speaking to a physical merging, because that would sound crazy.
Possible, right?
Impossible, yes. So it's more spiritual, emotional, psychological. It's the coming together of one vision. No longer two visions, but two minds saying this is where we're going. This is the focus. So the oneness is the merging of our ideas or dreams or aspirations, even though we're still uniquely ourselves.
Yes.
We're very much independent, interdependent on each other. So it's working together as one.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And in a age where everybody wants to do their own thing, let's just be really practical. Like, even when you look at what it's like in dating in society today, some of the terms I'm hearing, oh, I run a strict program, I'm all about this, women are independent, they're driven, the males may be requiring somebody who is not that out there and doing a million things, but everybody wants what they want.
Yes.
In today's society, we also see that less people are getting married.
That is true. Statistics prove that. Or they're marrying older.
Wow.
Right.
Both sexes are marrying older?
Statistics show
Interesting.
that a lot of persons are waiting until their late 30s to tie the knot.
They're not doing it in their 20s?
No, not anymore.
How old were you when you got married?
At 22.
Wow. I was 25. I don't even think I turned 25.
At 22, I was just a crazy little young girl. I don't know what I was thinking that I would want a man at that age. But
oh, my word.
I mean,
I
made that choice at 22.
I found out I'm still crazy. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it has anything to do with the age, but I mean, marriage is, and I like to tell people, beyond leading yourself, marriage is probably one of the hardest things ever.
And the most beautiful too.
Yes. So the hardest, and when you look at even raising children,
yes,
those things, they come with such tasks that you have to self-reflect and in order to grow. But, I really admire how you and Kemar, like when we do go to your marriage seminars, retreats, whatever it is, there is always something to learn. And you and Kemar are so open, so practical, always giving tips.
Yes.
I mean, how did this start, Datonya? How did you know that this is where I should be?
Well, the truth is it didn't start perfect, and I know that ideally persons would recommend getting premarital counseling. They would recommend you having all the things in place, which is good.
Yes.
Right? But that was not our story. We were broken, we are church goers, and it was not acceptable at the time. Well, it's still not acceptable, but we fell before marriage, which to some persons, they may be wondering, what is that?
Right.
We had sex before marriage, which in the church community, that is fornication.
Right.
So that was something that really took a toll on us, to the point where I went into deep depression.
Wow.
I was admitted into a mental institution because that's how depressed I felt. But Kemar was there right through, and he loved me through all of that, to the point where we felt like the next best thing to do was marriage. And I would not say that the church imposed it, but to some extent, they somewhat was kind of cueing that's what you should do next.
Right.
I really felt years after that, God was saying we should have waited to heal, to do the inner work, but we didn't do that. So we went in broken, not all the things in place. So no premarital counseling, no finished degree, and make sure you have house and car in place. There was nothing like that. We just said, okay, we're in love, we're going to give this a shot and see where it goes. But we knew at the time that we loved each other. We were friends before.
Yes.
So we got married, and oh my God. So for the first couple months, it was great. Just like, the honeymoon stage. And then we started to settle in, and oh my God, I was recognizing that this guy was not as mature as he portrayed himself to be. And I was extremely angry and bitter, because this is not the life I designed for myself.
Right.
And there was so much pain, so much brokenness. I mean, I remember times just saying, God, can you get any kind of glory out of this relationship? And I know sometimes people share their story and persons go, yes, that could be me. But really and truly, when I was in that place and I heard other stories, I was saying, no.
Impossible.
Mine is impossible.
Wow.
It was just too hard. But then we kept going because we both had a strong foundation in the Lord. And not only that, we connected with persons like yourself and, other persons who, they were not necessarily focusing on marriage, but they were focusing on inner work. And Jamar always says, your marriage does better when you do better.
Yes.
So we started to work on ourselves. It was not just about what I saw a fault in Kemar and Kemar saw a fault in me. I didn't have marriage ministry on my mind. It was just, I was saying I couldn't do that. I wasn't qualified to speak on marriage. I mean, I'm not going to I was no pretty girl. When I got angry, I would throw things.
Okay.
I would be abusive in my words.
Wow.
I mean, that's just marriage, because everybody wants to put out that nice, and
Yeah,
you
that
leave
nice
a podcast,
front.
you leave an interview still thinking this person can't relate to me, but I can relate. I was the wife who, when my husband decided he's not going to listen to what I'm saying, I remember we had a big flat screen TV.
Oh my gosh.
And he said, listen, I'm not even listening to you right now. And I just put the TV on the ground, just fling it on the ground. And the man was saying, no, this is a psychopath.
Kemar, me never know them things that go through, sir.
But it's not just him. It's not just him. I went through things too. I went, and that is the merging of the oneness.
Yes.
Because I had to die, but I didn't know what dying looked like. It felt too painful. And I remember a lot of times saying to God, this man that you give me, you don't understand. He doesn't love me. Because women will get emotional.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
We're trying to talk, and men don't want to talk. They want to sleep. And you're wondering, how can you sleep? And we
Them
just had a
don't want to
disagreement.
sleep.
And
It's not the sleep part.
them
you
just
mean.
asleep we out.
Okay.
And I can get it, I get it too, because sometimes there you need a space.
Yes.
To think things through. It's not always wrong. Sometimes talking in the heat is not good. But we went through our little phases, and we went through counseling. I remember going to different counselors, trying to find the right counselor. We couldn't find anybody, but we kept going.
Yes.
I love that about our marriage. We didn't give up, because I did not want to fit in to this form of looking like we're happy.
And
I
you're not,
always had this deep feeling inside, like I only get one shot at life. I don't want to be old and saying I lived miserable. I was never truly happy, just for the sake of looking the part.
That's so beautiful, Datonya, because the truth is you have a lot of people who are living like that, and they have made up their mind that that is just how they're going to live, because they believe that there is no hope. But what I love about what you're sharing is that you and Kemar kept going.
Yes.
And the fact that he was going to the counselors
even if he didn't want to,
that's impressive.
He kept going. And I know sometimes some wives will say, oh, you know what? I am the one that always have to book the session.
Right,
well, I booked the session.
right.
I booked the session because what was important is us being healed so that we can go on to greater things. So we got to a place where we finally found the right counselor. He was a Seventh-day Adventist, and he sat with us and he worked through, the different nuances and the challenges and the childhood trauma and the pain and the issues. And he said to us, I remember the question that he asked us that made the shift. Who are you remaining married for? Your church or yourself?
Wow.
Your church or yourself?
Who are you remaining married for? That's a powerful question.
Why are you still married?
That's a powerful question. Now, for anybody who understands the dynamic of male and female, they know the most powerful thing for a woman is to be loved.
Yes.
And for a male, the most powerful thing for him is to be respected. And so those are two different languages. Oftentimes when you have, relationship spouses bumping heads, they're saying the same thing, but they're speaking two different languages, and there's nobody in between to decode that language.
Right.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about how important was it for you guys to understand that you have to communicate in each other's language.
Right. When we went to counseling, and I know people like to downplay the value of counseling or community. So it may not be a professional therapist, but it could be just your community of other couples, just just where you sit and you talk and you work through things, a marriage ministry, something. The community is what helped us to work through communicating as a couple better.
Yes.
Because when you are in the situation, you're not able to see where you're going wrong or what you need to fix, or because you're so focused on
the pain,
what
or
you're
hurts,
focused on I am right, and you are wrong, and you can't see what I'm dealing with. But for example, let me give you an example. When I used to say to Kemar, can you just stay back in the bed with me, like in the morning sometime. Don't rush to go and do things. Just let us cuddle, like especially on a weekend. It meant something to me for you to just linger there and have us cuddling. He didn't get it. But when we spoke with other couples, one husband said, hey, my wife had the same issue and I stayed back with her and it worked out pretty fine. And I get it. That's her way of communicating that I want you to be here with me. And Kemar got it right then and there.
When he heard it from somebody else.
He didn't get it, but he heard it and he was able now to speak my language. I have a friend, a dear friend, and he would tell me, this is how male think. This is how a man thinks. This is how a man, registers when you say this a certain way. That would help me to speak to Kemar. It was, even though Kemar was saying the same thing, I could not hear, because remember, there are other barriers. The pain and the challenges, and I'm not seeing what he's saying. I'm not hearing because all of these other barriers. But having a community will help you to speak the right language. And also reading. You have to read. You have to educate yourself. You can't just be in your little space and thinking, hey, I'm going to become better just by sitting there and staring. We read a lot. We started to read. Remember, once we met Jamar, we have to read. So we started to read.
We were in training yesterday, and at one point he went off on a tangent, because he's asking, when was the last time you read a book? And
so we read Gary Chapman. We had to read all these little books, and even books from Carla Dunbar. We read her books, and we have read her needs, his needs. So we have read a number of books, because education, information changes the way you think. Yes.
I'm just in awe, guys. You don't understand. It's such a pleasure to witness, purpose.
Yes.
Purpose, like just to see that, you started with, even when you started, you didn't think it was time to start.
No.
You didn't want to be out there. You delayed, doing your man and woman conversations because you were saying, boy, if I'm having so much trouble, why would I want to, go out there? And every single time Jamar and I were a part of one of those sessions, there's always something that we left with, always a blessing. One of the things I want to find out from you, and so that our audience can take from, what you've learned, what were some of the things you had to work on?
In the marriage?
Yes.
Oh my, I had to just work on my tone. That's just one. I had to work on my tone.
Deaf. Completely.
Yeah, because let me tell you, I'll say the right things. What I was saying to my husband were the right things, powerful things that would make him a great man. But you see my tone, you see that other language called the body language. Oh my God, I had to work on those things, and it started from changing my mindset.
Yes.
So I started to get to the root. Why am I defensive?
Yes.
Why am I, this is somebody that loves me, why am I always on the defense side? What is happening? Don't I trust him?
Right.
Isn't he in my corner? Isn't he for me? So I had to sort that out in the mind, because it's the root. It's the lies that we tell ourselves that affect the way how we show up.
Right.
So I had to get into my mind and say, okay, Kemar loves me. He's not like other persons. He's not trying to get at me. Get rid of those lies. And it changed the way I would speak to him.
Right.
Another thing that I needed to work on was to recognize that Kemar is not God. And sometimes we want our partners to be to us what only God can be to us.
That is true.
Yes.
And isn't that such a burden for anybody to bear?
It can
because
be.
They just can't do for you what God can do for you.
And a lot of times, both male and female, we do it. Right? And when we're struggling with certain things, we put the blame on the partner. We put the blame on what they're not doing and should do. And sometimes we have to learn to trust God enough to communicate to your partner.
Right.
What you cannot say.
And what your needs are sometimes.
Yes.
So you have expressed it over and over and over. Maybe it's time for you to step back.
I had to learn that. And it was pretty hard, because the blame game, oh my God, I think that is from birth, that blame game mentality, it's rooted in us to blame, to always see outside of ourselves. And so that's something that I had to work through. And the final thing that I had to work on was just understanding that I am here in this marriage to make this man better. It's not about me. You know, sometimes we show up in marriage and we make it about us, but marriage is a place of service, an institution of selflessness. Selfish people don't get married. Don't get married if you're selfish.
Yeah.
Because it's a place of selflessness. And so when I understood that I'm here to serve, it's about the other person, I noticed that my service pulls out his service. And when we're both thinking about serving each other, then we make the marriage better and we both end up being beautiful.
That's so beautiful. That last tidbit right there, because I mean, society today have literally changed the meaning of that. Everybody is getting married for what they can get,
Yes.
or the aesthetics of what it looks like to get married. It's so crazy, guys. But we're gonna stick and stay. We're gonna go for a break. When we get back, we want to really get down into the point of how can we achieve this oneness in marriage, doing the self-reflection, seeing where we went wrong. How do we now achieve that marriage that we're in sync? We're not fighting each other. That's a good one. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Guys, stick and stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back to episode 27, and we're here with a special guest, Mrs. Datonya McLaren, and she has under her belt over 18 years of marriage, and she's sharing with us how can we achieve oneness in marriage and in business. And listen, with what she just shared with us a while ago, I know some of our female audience members are going to be so mad.
Yes.
You know, I'm kind of hurt, but it's okay. We're learning, right? That's
Learning
a part
and
of
growing.
yes, that's a
Learning
part
and
of
growing.
growth. So we're going to become better wives and better partners after this episode. Well, we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Jace Myrie Media, Mind Food International, Caribbean Gospel TV, Amanda's Kitchen, Grace Creates, The Self-Care Bar, Jess's Home Decor, SK Catering, also Mag 24/7 Wrecking Services, Regional Consulting Services in Cayman, and also Proactive Lifestyle Limited. We are grateful for your part that you play in making this possible. So now, Datonya, back to making people mad. Listen, you just hit the nail on the head with so many different things about us having to change, because we're looking for that change in our partner. When we change, they'll reciprocate. So now we want to talk about achieving this oneness in marriage. First of all, is it even possible?
Very much so. Because the master builder behind marriage said it is possible. So once he says it's possible, it's possible. And Kamara and I are living it right now.
We are living proof.
Yes, we're living
proof that it is possible.
It is possible.
Now, how do we define the roles in the marriage to ensure that we are playing to each other's strength and not overplaying our role?
Well, the truth is, traditional roles in terms of man going out to work, wife staying home and taking care of the home and nurturing the children, man being the main person to make the decisions, that has shifted a lot.
Yes.
With the economy, with times, with culture.
Yes.
Right? So now you have women working as well to bring in income. And many cases, women are even bringing in more income.
Right.
So we have to look at the dynamics. We can't allow our mindsets or the former mindset to stop us from changing, right? God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't change with the time. He does.
He does.
He remains consistent. He wants our characters to remain intact, right? But we must move with the time or we're going to be left behind. Can you imagine a husband now just by himself working in this economy? I mean, in some cases, some family it works,
yes.
but it's the minor. It's really the minor. If we're supposed to be truthful, the average family cannot function with one income. So we have to work as a team. So it's no longer really about just hierarchy. It's about partnership. We're getting this done as a team. Decisions now are made as a team. Roles are no longer gender specific, but it's who is better or capable or has the better skills. So just like I'm saying, you have some relationships, or back in the past, men would make the decisions as it relates to finances.
Right.
Some women in your relationship, the woman may be the accountant.
Yes.
She may be better at finances. Are you going to say because you are the man, you're not going to give her the opportunity to lead in that area? It's no longer just about what we should or should not do. It's about who has the better skills and the capacity to show up in that area. So Kemar press better, so him do all the pressing.
That's so true.
And him can't cook too, so he does the cooking sometimes.
Right.
But he also does the finances. He's better at that than I am.
Beautiful.
But I'm a better speaker, so I'll take in some more money in
Right.
that area. So we know how to work together as a team. Teamwork is what will make the dream work. That's what they say.
Absolutely. You know what I love about what you just said? You are literally saying you don't need to stick to tradition for the sake of sticking to tradition. You know what works within your marriage, right? So you have to play to each other's strength. Now, Datonya, how important is it while we're looking at this picture of being one in business and in our marriage? How do we ensure that we're not playing the roles that we're strong in and not, for example, emasculating the men, or the men don't push the women outside of their supposed feminine side?
Right.
How do you balance that equation?
It goes back to conversation. And, just the other day, I was making a presentation and we were talking about what success looks like for each of us, right? So success varies.
Yes.
Some men like to do a particular thing, and because of society, they will say that is going to make me look feminine. But it works, and it makes their marriage a success. Because some men, they work from home, they help with the children, they help with the ironing and the washing, and the woman goes out and she earns, and then at some point there's a shift. I think what's her name? Her name is not coming back to me, but she's very famous. Oh my God, how could I forget her name? She's a black woman, and I remember she was sharing her story of her being at home, and she would do her little food videos. I think she's a vegetarian as well.
Okay.
Probably the name will come to you. And her husband was a police officer, and he gave up his dreams in a way so that she could live her dream.
Right.
And then when she finally made it, she was just giving him an opportunity to live his dream. It's about your relationship. It's what works for you in business and in marriage.
I love that.
Right? We cannot allow society to dictate how we function in our union. We must discuss what is it that success and happiness looks like for us. Then we map out a vision as to how we're going to get there. That's true oneness. Oneness is not you looking at another couple and saying, hey, I admire them. Yes, it's good to admire, but we will not duplicate if it's not effective here.
The things I've seen.
Admiration is different from duplication.
The things I've seen, and I worry, and I say it to Jamar all the time. I have a true concern that people will look at a couple and say, "Oh, couples goals." You don't know what they're going through. You don't know the price that they have to pay to do what they do. Don't go into an area, an industry, into a field just because you want to look like somebody else. Because that picture will look very grim to you. I really appreciate this talk, and there is just so much. I think we need a part 2 and 3 because we have different things that we need to focus on. But like, if you were to give like 3 solid advice on people who truly want to have successful marriages, what would that be?
Communication. Because the same way, communication is what runs the world.
Yes.
Whether oral, written, communicate. We have to communicate. And communication is not just you saying something and me hearing and receiving. Communication is shared meaning. shared. I can say something and still not have communicated.
Right.
So it means then that we have to work at communication because we want to ensure that we have shared meaning. What I just said, what I mean is what you hear
Yes.
and receive,
Yes.
and we're on the same page, and that don't happen overnight.
No.
That takes work.
Oh, wow.
But we need it to go to the next level.
Absolutely.
In order to have a successful relationship.
Absolutely.
The next thing I would say is consistency. Many times God is doing good things in our marriages. Many times the change is just on the horizon. Many times the shift that you need is just about to happen. But we can become inconsistent when we don't see what we want to see.
True.
The little the small acts that we should do, we don't want to do them because we're looking for this grand, shift. I remember speaking to a group of ladies the other day, and I said to them, when we were growing, just like you're growing in the physical, we could not tell our hand was changing or stretch out or I got a little fatter. It was when I looked at a picture, I recognized I don't look the same, or my clothes don't fit the same, or everything just looked different. But I literally could not get up in the mornings and see my hand stretching and my head getting bigger, my body getting bigger. It took time. It was the small things that we kept doing when we thought that this was the time that we got it right, but then a big argument happened and we felt like we would crash, but we didn't crash. We went back to the drawing board and we talk again.
Yes.
And we worked it through to the point now where we don't even know what's an argument. I don't even know if Kimara and I are arguing anymore because we just start laugh, and that took time. That just took time. It was the constant little acts of coming back and saying, let's try again. Let's work this through. Let's talk about it. What did I say? The tit for tat needs to stop.
Yes.
And sometimes even in the tit for tat, we're titting for tatting and going back and forth. But we kept at it. We kept reading. We kept going to seminars. We kept connecting. Consistency is what is important. The third thing is community.
Yes.
I cannot overemphasize the value of community. We are who we are. We reach where we reach because of people. We are not independent completely. We are not in isolation.
Yes.
Nobody who has ever made it got there by themselves. You
So
need
true.
a community. And many of the persons that got a divorce or have failed marriages, they were holding it under wraps. They kept it to themselves because they didn't want anybody to know.
Right.
And they didn't want anybody to hear this.
Right.
And they didn't want people to look at them a funny way and all kind of things. When we were going through, people knew, oh my God, people know, everybody know. It was not nice to be in that place. But when God made the change, they
knew
also
too.
knew.
Powerful.
They also knew. And they couldn't deny it.
No.
They're blown away by it.
And everyone has to
Everybody
witness
has to
the
witness
growth.
that growth, yes.
That is just so beautiful. Datonya, what do you have coming up?
So we have our marriage seminar. Well, let me say a date night. And it's on May 30th. And we have not confirmed the venue because we're usually looking for an outside venue.
Yes.
Right? But that will be confirmed by the second week in April. So look out for the flyers on my platform, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Datonya McLaren or Man and Woman Conversations. You'll see the poster there and the venue will be posted. But persons have been registering.
Yes.
Right? And we're so grateful. People are excited. They're looking forward to the event. We also have a Single and Loving It Ministries.
Really?
Yes, I know you didn't know about this part.
Really?
Yes, we do. So we have a WhatsApp ministry and we meet with them sometimes on Zoom. We meet with them, like we go different places because the Lord had said something, God had said something to us that was very powerful, that if you can help those who have not yet tied the knot, you would have saved that generation.
Wow.
So we were doing a lot of work with married couples, but we were not looking at the fact that we could make a shift before they even got there. So we're working with that group.
That's awesome.
And we have a book that is right now on Amazon that is called The Behind the Veils of Singleness.
Wow.
So I wanted to give single people an opportunity to speak their truth. And now Kimara and I are also working on our book that is coming out in July.
Beautiful. I am so proud. I'm so proud. I'm so filled. This has just been an amazing, amazing episode. One long overdue because they've been asking. But, again, Datonya, there's just so much that I'd like to congratulate you on. I'm hearing you. The conversation is happening. The communication is happening. I'm receiving and perceiving your message, but I'm like in shock at just what is taking place. And you always had this passion for marriage,
Yes.
but just being able to witness it full circle,
Yes.
I think that holds a very special place in my heart. And so we want to say thank you, not just from me, but also from Jamar as well, for joining us on the Designers of Change. See, we're not only designing change in our careers, but also our marriages. We want to touch on every single area of your life. Again, Datonya, thank you so much for being with us.
Me. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome.
You're doing a great job. Great job.
To God be the glory. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. Jace Myron Media. Big Boss is on set and everything is going smoothly. Remember to reach out to Mindfood International for your training needs, any HR consultancy needs. We're here for you. Wherever you are in the world, I'm sure an aircraft can take us there. So we'll be there. We'll be there if you need us, guaranteed. Caribbean Gospel TV, Grace Creates, Amanda's Kitchen, Mag 24/7, Wrecking Services, Regional Consulting Services, also Proactive Lifestyle Limited, Jess's Home Decor, the Self-Care Bar, and also we want to say a huge thank you to SK Catering. Guys, thank you for joining us on our very first marriage topic. Stick and stay. We have so much more coming up on the Designers of Change podcast.